What was the reason?
I had a reason.
What was the reason? What was the reason?
Let's get into this Will Smith, Chris Rock fiasco. Let's go.
Jada, I love you. G.I. Jane 2, can't wait to see it. All right? that was a nice one. Okay. I'm out here. Uh-oh, Richard. Oh, wow. Wow.
Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Rogan. This is This Bahamian Gyal. Y'all know what time it is. This week I am weighing into some pop culture water because how could I not? Considering what happened on Sunday at the Oscars, at the 94th Oscars, what the hell was Will Smith thinking? But my question goes a little further than what Will Smith was thinking. My question, kiddies, is how we allowed this black on black crime to happen and we said not a damn thing. How did Hollywood sit there and say nothing when it watched one black man assault another on a global stage in the front of millions of people who are tuned into this broadcast? Why are we as a culture, and not all of us, but why are we as the black culture condoning this, siding with Mr. Smith after what happened? So it's been a few days. Will Smith has finally apologized to Chris Rock. You guys know the whole story. The 94th Academy Awards were taking place. Chris Rock made a joke comparing Jada Pinkett Smith, who is Will Smith's wife, to G.I. Jane, or intimating that she would be best for the G.I. Jane sequel. And if you guys are not familiar with G.I. Jane, because I know a lot of you are very, very young and you don't know, it was a 1997 movie. I can't remember which year it came out, starring Demi Moore, where she famously shaved her head, and she was in the military or something along that line. I watched it years ago, so I can't remember if she was in the Navy or the Army or what, but she has like the perfect head shape and she shaved her head for the role, and it was, you know, it was groundbreaking at the time. And we see women rocking bald heads all the time, and Jada Pinkett Smith has a bald head, but not by choice. She has alopecia. And Will Smith wasn't having it. He wasn't having it, right? So he was really pissed off about what transpired. Chris Rock making this joke, which, by the way, if you know Chris Rock's stand-up routine, that was probably the most benign joke anyone could have possibly ever come up with. It was very benign. So I don't even understand what all the anger from Will Smith was all about. But I want to get into talking about this because what really bothers me, it bothered me then, but it bothers me even more so now, is how so many people are validating Will Smith's assault on Chris Rock. How they were like, oh, he had every right to do it because people have been picking on the Smith family. So let's just jump right into this. Okay, let's jump into this. First of all, nobody was inquiring about the Smiths. For years, their marriage has been shrouded in controversy because it was some whispers that they had an open marriage, which it's clear that they do. They do have an open marriage, right? But people whisper and talk about people all the time, especially celebrities. You don't have to confirm anything. You don't have to deny it. You just can go about your business and not say anything. You know, I don't have to say that's not true, and I don't have to say it's true. I just don't have to say anything. There are tons of celebrities who live their lives every single day, and they hear rumors upon rumors, and they don't confirm nor deny anything, as they should. It's their business. The Smiths have invited us into their lives by giving us like details that nobody even asked for. And I know that there are people who say that they want celebrities to be more open, but you know, with openness comes more inquisitiveness. People are always going to be prying even more. The more you give them, the more they want. But the Smiths invited people into their bedroom by talking about, you know, their sex life. And, you know, I remember like years ago, Jada Pinkett Smith was talking about she knew the moment she conceived. And it was it's just too much. It's just too much, right? So when you start giving people information on your marriage, they start inquiring even more. And this vicious cycle continues. But let's move away from that. I don't see how anybody in their right mind can think or support Will Smith stepping to a stage and hitting Chris Rock for such a benign comment. And granted, it might be benign to me because I'm not suffering from hair loss. And I'm sure that he's had to deal with his wife's discomfort over that. And he's probably seen her cry. But if you watch the broadcast, right? If you watch the replay of the broadcast, and you can see this on YouTube or anywhere else, he was laughing. He was laughing. Will Smith was laughing before he saw his wife's expression. I felt like the minute he saw Jada roll her eyes, like, oh, here we go again, or this BS again, that's when he got upset. I just don't understand this Jekyll and Hyde syndrome with Will Smith. I don't. A year or two ago, I think it was 2020, I did a video, and you can click up here to see it, when he was doing this apology video with Janet Hubert, who played on Viv on his show at one point. And I just keep going back to the things that Janet Hubert said about Will, and I see these things starting to manifest even more. I was giving Will so much props back then for being man enough to say, you know what, I don't know anybody in the world who hates me as much as this woman does. And I wasn't comfortable with that. I didn't want to go to my grave with that. And so he sought to make to make amends. And now here it is. I can find somebody else who's even more pissed, Chris Rock. And beyond that, I'm sure Chris's family and friends are really pissed off. And I'm sure the public at large, people who are rational thinkers, are probably like really disappointed in Will Smith. I know I am. And I felt like that slap that he delivered to, first of all, let's talk about this slap real quick. And I'm not even going to be making fun of it, but what man you know slapping any man in 2022? I mean, the only thing he didn't do was pull off a white glove and just be like, I challenge you to a duel. Pa, 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 pa. Like, who is slapping another man? That's number one. Number two, I felt like Will knew who to run up on. Because I think if it were anybody else, could you see, for example, Will Smith going up on that stage as Suge Knight was presenting? You think Will could have walked up on the stage on Suge Knight? Do you think he would have done that if it were Dave Chappelle? Do you think he would have done that if it were 50 Cent or anybody else? The Rock? Come on, bro. I think Chris Rock handled that so professionally. I don't even know how he maintained his composure because, boss, let me tell you something. It was going to be on sight the minute this man come up on the stage and slap me. And especially as a man, doing this to another man, no, sir. No, sir. But I felt like Will knew who to run up on. And that to me is like a bully move in and of itself. He's angry because he and his wife have become sort of like the laughing stock of Hollywood, right? People are talking about their marriage. People are talking about, the fact that Jada had a relationship with singer August Alsina. And I guess Will is starting to feel very emasculated or feeling very, like just not the man right now for whatever reason. And I guess this was like the straw that broke the camel's back. Like, this was just another thing that people were saying. And of course, in the front of so many people. But let me tell you something. Chris Rock gave a very benign comment compared to what I've heard before. Just a few weeks ago, Laverne Cox, the trans actress, was interviewing the Smiths and made some reference to an entanglement, which I thought was most inappropriate. And she was like, well, I'm not going to apologize. If the Smiths want me to apologize, I'll apologize, but I'm not apologizing. She should have just apologized because that was disrespectful. But they laughed and kiki it up. And then they left, exited stage, left. But for Chris Rock, you can just go up there and slap this man and think that it's cool. The Smiths were sitting in the audience when comedian after comedian, presenter after presenter was cracking jokes at the expense of people in the audience. People in the audience were getting roasted, okay? And they laughed. I saw 64 teeth in total, 32 from him and 32 from her. They laughing. But now when the spotlight is on you, it's a problem. I have a problem with that. You have to roll with the punches. And I'm not saying that they're not human. I'm not saying that they don't hurt, because they certainly do. And I know it must be really tough to go home and face these demons every single day, or to come out into the world and know that people are talking about you. It can't be easy. And I think sometimes we are too hard on celebrities. I absolutely agree with that. But I'm not going to let the weight of the world piss me off so much that it causes me to go up on stage and assault somebody. What really bothered me is that it was a black man doing this to another black man, when this should have been like, this was like the highlight of his career, whether he won that Academy Award or not. This was like the highlight of his career, Will Smith, that is. And for him to just totally detract from that moment, even though he hadn't won the award yet, but just the mere fact that he was up for this award, and he was sort of like the front runner to win, and that he would just mess this whole thing up by going and slapping Chris Rock. And people in the audience were not aghast. They sort of just stood there as he was just going off. And it wasn't enough that he slapped him. He walks back to his seat, crosses his leg, and then proceeds to like give like an expletive-laden attack on Chris Rock, who's trying to maintain his composure and do his job. I mean, and the fact that people aren't bothered by that, the fact that after he won, like people were still standing there and applauding. Like, what the hell is wrong with you, Hollywood? To me, I would have either walked out of that Dolby Theater, or I would have remained in my seat, stoic, because I cannot. Even if you were happy that he won that award, the mere fact that you would stand up and applaud is like almost an endorsement of his behavior. And then this is what really pissed me off: that Will Smith would then take to the microphone, right? All eyes on him, and take to the microphone and thank the Academy. Apologize to the Academy, apologize to his peers, but Home Slice ain't gonna apologize to the person who he physically assaulted and verbally abused.
I want to apologize to the Academy. I want to apologize to all my fellow nominees.
Now, on Tuesday or Monday night, one of the two, Will came out with an apology, talking about, he didn't want to be that person. He doesn't believe in that violence or whatever. It's all about love, and that wasn't the right thing to do. A little too, too little too late, as far as I'm concerned. And I can't speak to whether or not it was sincere. But to me, when you had the opportunity to make amends or at least apologize, you should have done it. I felt like everything that he was feeling, every frustration, every anger, every person who attacked him and his wife over the years, he took all that out on Chris Rock. His anger was totally misdirected, and it pissed me off. On the break, you saw like behind the scenes footage of Tyler Perry and Bradley Cooper and Denzel Washington sort of comforting him or trying to calm him down or whatever. And I felt like it amounted to coddling. I don't know what was said, but just reading off the body language from the video, it's like, what are y'all doing? I hope somewhere in that conversation they were like, what the hell are you doing? Like, why would you do that? You need to fix it. Because this apology, which came like a day or two later, to me, it sounded like a publicist sat down and said, this is what needs to be said. And I don't want to hear nothing from Will Smith on no damn red table talk. So I don't even want to, and I hope Chris Rock doesn't go. And I know that sounds so mean, right? But this ain't the time for no red table talk. I don't want to hear nothing they have to say. And it kind of pissed me off too. And I love Jada Pinkett. I've been loving Jada from Low Down Dirty Shame. I love her to death. But I really wasn't feeling the way she seemed like she was almost like beaming, like after it happened, like, yes, we'll handle that. Like, that's not the way to do it. I felt like Will should have used his speech, even if he didn't know he was going to win. There's other ways to address that. Even if he had grabbed the microphone from Chris and said, what you're saying really hurts. I mean, it's a bit of a disturbance, but it's not assault. You know what I mean? It's not assault. But it's just, for me, what really bothers me is just how we were so comfortable sitting there. And this has nothing to do with the fact that white people are around, because, Black people always be like, oh, I hate that this happened in the front of white people. This is why they don't want us at their awards shows. So they don't want us at their award shows. So what? I'm not begging to be at any table where I'm not welcome. I'm not begging for a seat that I'm not welcome to. It's not about that. We are too concerned about what white folks think. We need to be concerned about what we think and the example that we're setting for ourselves and for our children. And that was not a good example. And to hear all these celebrities jumping in and basically saying, yes, he had to defend his family. His family was not in any imminent danger. Nobody was threatening Jada Pinkett with harm. It was a comment that, yes, perhaps it was distasteful because of what she's going through, but we also have to understand that not everybody knows that she has a hair loss disease, okay? We as laymen look to celebrities and we follow their movements. These are just their peers. So they're not really following up on who's got hair loss disease and who's, with this person, sleeping with this person. They don't really follow up on a lot of that. These times, these celebrities don't know what's going on with their peers, okay? So we can't assume that he knew. It was just a joke. Okay. And I think there's a way to handle things. Will could have certainly pulled Chris Rock in the, behind the scenes and said, listen, man, I know it's a joke, but my wife is hurting, and went about it that way. But at the end of the day, what do you expect when you see a Chris Rock come on the stage? When you see Dave Chappelle step on the stage? Or when you see Cat Williams or any comedian? This is what they do. They poke fun at people. D.L. Hewley, all these folks, this is what they do. They laugh at folks in the audience, unless you get some sort of hokey, corny comedian to come out who doesn't offend anybody. I mean, this is what comedians do. And you kind of have to, especially after all these years, for the two of them being in the business, you kind of have to develop some sort of thick skin. And again, I'm not saying that you're supposed to be completely impenetrable, that things won't hurt you or hurt your feelings, but come on, man. But again, the problem for me is that Will Smith was coddled the night of that assault. I don't know what was going on behind the scenes, if people were rushing to Chris's aid. I certainly hope so. I think Whoopi Goldberg said there were people comforting him. But I think the Oscars dropped the ball big time on how they handled this. I know Will Packer was producing the event for the night. And I think Whoopi Goldberg had said in an interview or on The View, pardon me, that, they didn't want to remove him because he was up for the award. Okay, fine. If that were the case and you didn't want to make a big deal of him not being there, maybe I understand it. But after that, whether he won or lost, he should have been promptly removed. And security, I didn't even see any security coming around, because why did security not come and handle him? I don't think Will Smith could have gone up on that stage if it were Ricky Gervais or anybody up there clowning his wife. I don't think he would have gone up on that stage and assaulted them. And I think had he assaulted them, he would have been promptly removed. But you know what? This is so common, I suppose, in people's minds. Like, oh, this is what they do. Black people attack black people. It's not a big deal. And this is how they speak to each other. They could tell someone to keep their wife's name out of their mother effing mouth, and that's okay. And it was the privilege for me that Will could go up on that stage, even though nobody knew what was going to happen. Even Chris didn't. He seemed very, very flabbergasted by what transpired. But that he could walk back to his seat, cross his leg, shout expletives, and nobody's pulling him aside. People just kind of like sitting back like, uh-oh, what's going on here? Nobody's pissed off. Nobody's calling them out. Kudos to the celebrities who I saw a few people on Twitter who were like, this is garbage. Shout out to Rosie O'Donnell, who was like, come on now. People are questioning now whether Will should have his Oscar taken away. I'm still thinking about whether that should happen. I know for damn sure he does not need to be invited back to the Academy Awards next year. I think that they should put some sort of ban on it. I think they have some sort of ethics code that you have to abide by, especially, when you're dealing with the Academy. And I'm very anxious to see what transpires. I don't know, and I'm still thinking about it, whether or not he should have his award taken away. But I feel like there definitely needs to be some serious consequence for his actions, and it goes beyond an apology. You can't just go and assault somebody and then cuss him out and be like, hey, yo, dog, I'm sorry, I'm real sorry. And I think Will needs some serious counseling, because he just keeps he acts like a juvenile delinquent and at-risk youth from time to time. I don't know what it is that's wrong with him. I just don't. But he needs some serious, effective counseling. He needs some serious, effective counseling, because you just never know the trauma that he's experienced having grown up in an abusive home. And I could relate in many ways, but I damn sure ain't walking around slapping nobody. And I also want to speak about another thing, right? Because just talking about Will, a lot of times when he gets emotional, and I will speak for the Black community, and this isn't for everybody, but I've heard so many times in our community, people will be like, oh, he's soft. Why he crying? Why he crying? This is a problem where Black men are not, I feel, permitted to emote properly, to say I am hurt, to say I'm feeling sad, this thing offended me or whatever. We're not giving them that space to properly emote. And so it's all being bottled inside, and then it manifests in violence, or it manifests in some other ways, or even self-destruction, either drugs or alcohol, or just taking one's life. because they're not given this space to properly emote. And I think that needs to change.
Now, I know to do what we do, you got to be able to take abuse. You got to be able to have people talk crazy about you. In this business, you got to be able to have people disrespecting you. And you got to smile and you got to pretend like that's okay.
We can't just keep calling somebody a sissy or soft or whatever because they cry. That's not what it's about. And I think we really need to be more in tune with that. But I'm especially hurt and disappointed that so many celebrities and Black celebrities could see what transpired, and there doesn't seem to be any sympathy for Chris Rock and what he endured. You know, no sympathy for him. It's just all about, oh yeah, nobody could be disrespecting your family, and he did the right thing standing up for his family. That was like the most toxic thing that he could have done. And then again, like I said, to go on stage and then apologize to the establishment and not even apologize to the person you hurt, and then later come with your speech. And I'm gonna put some of that in here, you know, to come with his speech and say love makes you do like strange things or crazy things. Really? That sounds like the domestic abuser's mantra, like the abuser's mantra, like, hey, I punched you in your face because, you know, I just love you so much. You just, oh, you know, I had to punch you. Like, for real? That's what love makes you do? That's what love makes you lash out and slap a whole man on a global stage? That's what love does? I would expect any man to defend his wife, his girlfriend, his daughter, his family fiercely. But does it manifest in violence unless that person is threatened with physical harm? I don't think there's space for that. I don't tolerate that. I don't accept that. And I don't understand others who do. And I know people have varied opinions on this, and they feel like he was well within his right to do what he did. But that is a wrong thing. You never want to, and this isn't again about the fact that it happened in the front of white people. It's not about that. It's about the fact that I don't want to see two Black men who are at the top of their game, who are so successful, who are supposed to be brothers, doing this to one another, or one doing it to the other. And it was such, you know, Chris Rock said something like, you know, I can't remember the exact words, but like, wow, this is like, you know, like basically it's a memorable night, or, you know, this is iconic or something to that effect. And I was like, it's sad that you know, that he would think that, you know, I know he was discombobulated in the moment, but that was one of the most disgusting moments in television. It was probably one of the most shocking, you know, because I don't think that's ever happened in the Academy's 94-year history, you know, but it's nothing iconic about it. What was iconic is the fact that we had Black people producing the broadcast for the first time in the Oscars history. That's iconic. And what's sad is that Will Smith has been angling for years to get an Academy Award, and he finally gets one. And what are we talking about? We're not sitting here talking about his award. We're talking about this assault. This assault. And, you know, there are so many other people who got awards who are not even getting their proper shine. Questlove got an Academy Award. Did you guys know that? One of the greatest drummers ever. Just a great entertainer, period, and a great artist. He got an award, totally overshadowed by this incident. And so it was selfish of Will to do that because it detracted from other people as well. And I just hope at the end of the day, because I know people always get caught up in their feelings and like they just look at it from this perspective of, you know, Will was protecting his family, but I want them to sit back and think about somebody else's family that was affected by his outburst, his temper, and his violence. And that's what it was. It was violence. And I feel so sorry for Chris Rock. And Chris Rock isn't even that dude. I mean, like, you know, he got a mouth on him, but he's not somebody I would say is absolutely disgusting, you know, or somebody who is just like, they don't give a you know what. You know, I can only imagine if someone like, you know, Cat Williams were on that stage and that happened, what would transpire. And that really could have led to a lot of violence afterwards. You just never know. As far as Will's apology, a little too late for me. Too little too late for me. And it remains to be seen what, you know, Chris Rock is going to say. Like, at the end of the day, I don't care about what Will feels right now. I don't care about that. I'm more interested in what the victim is feeling and how he's coping. And I would love to hear, see what happens with him, in the coming days. And I'm very interested to see how the Academy is going to react, because it can't be this privilege that because you have an A-list celebrity on stage doing this sort of crap, and he's almost untouchable. He shouldn't have been allowed to even go to those parties afterwards. It should have been like, Mr. Smith, here's your award. We'll be in touch. No to the parties. We're going to have to ask you to leave. It shouldn't be for the victim to have to kind of hide over in the corner or whatever. No, Will should not have been permitted to stay. Anyway, I want to hear what you guys have to say down below in the comments section. Good, bad, and different. You can agree, disagree. That's what life is all about. But leave your comments down below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you don't like this video, give it a thumbs down. I don't care what you decide. Just engage. Let me know that you're there. And again, like I said, I just want to hear your thoughts down below. So I'll see you guys. I'm going to do a video in 2 weeks because I had a video scheduled for today, but that got bumped to the side. A few of my subscribers actually reached out to me on Instagram. Now this was different for me, to ask me if I would weigh in on this conversation, and that's kind of crazy to me, because I don't usually do these types of videos. And it's so funny, the last one I did on Will Smith was about his apology to Janet Hubert for the anniversary, or the reunion rather, for Fresh Prince. So thank you to those subscribers who did reach out. I really appreciate you all, and I hope that you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to follow me on Facebook and Instagram at thisbahamiangyal, and of course on my blog www.thisbahamiangyal.com. And I love you, and I'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Please be good to one another, and please stop normalizing these attacks between Black people. That ain't cool. That is not cool one bit. See you next week.